Hey guys, it's Abby with Motor City Nerds. I'm sorry that these have been... Let's just be real, my life's falling apart. My life is in shambles, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Lost my job, but then they called me today. Then they're like, we don't know, and I'm like, I have no income coming in. I don't know what you want me to do right now. Like, I don't. So I'm sorry that these have been so late. But I'm really loving Mayfair Witches, and Mom's loving it too. And I think they're doing a really good job of, like, saying once again, just like Interview with the Vampire, this is how you storytell, honestly, and I think Interview with Vampire is better, but it's just more engaging in my opinion. But this is still, it's not taking anything away from this. This is like saying, that's like saying Breaking Bad is comparing something to that, you know? It's like we can still like it, but Breaking Bad is the GOAT, you know what I'm saying? Hobart, what are you eating? Please don't, thank you. It's just been, oh, 1 second, everything's just been hectic. I'll move that, I'm sorry. Oh, that's a laptop! Hobart, damn it! Hobart, no! Hobart, no! Get off that! It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. You're okay, thank you. Sorry, good boy. I'm sorry. I did not mean that. This doesn't spoon feed us like stupid little babies. And its messages are nuanced enough that it's like, I see what you're saying there. They're not hammering it down your throat like you're stupid and going like, listen, this is why, this is bad, or whatever the hell it is. You know what I'm saying? But also, have you ever seen a brass band? Oh, remember to subscribe. Subscribe, comment, share. I'm on OnlyF, I'm on TikTok, I'm on all that stuff down below. But do you guys, I'm the only person in my family who doesn't play an instrument. There's a couple members of my family who did marching band. Now, that's totally different from what I've seen at, like, have you ever gone to Bonnaroo? Because that's how I felt with this, but this was way cooler. But at Bonnaroo, there's a brass band that comes up to Tennessee, which is still the South. And they walk all around the campground. They're like on the list of bands. They're on the set list, but they like walk around the campground and stuff. And I was like, damn, man. One, jammies. They're jamming. They're so talented. It's awesome. But it was like a full brass jazz band. And they're just going through this burning hot temperature where I'm like, I can't move, I'm a slug person. And they're just like walking through the campsites and stuff. And it was just, with all these people partying after them. And I'm like, that is sick and probably so hard to do. Like march down the streets in this trippy way at this funeral. But I really, really liked that funeral scene of him saying, or when they were like, the dead are always with us. And I liked that combination of like, who's dead in this crowd and who's not? Am I just seeing things? I really, really loved that. And I thought that was so beautiful. Another thing this show is doing really well, I don't even want to say well, it's distinct and cool, is the colors that are popping. The colors popping are really striking and they work when they need them to. I definitely think there's something that has to do with like I said in my other reviews, like Rowan is a plant, Cypress is, Cyprian. A lot of them have, when the girls in Scotland, they're getting herbs, like anybody named after plants or foliage it seems to be on our side. Oh, I did not like what they did with that, with the nurse. That was gross. A lot of greens pop, but then like a lot of other things do. Like it's almost like, I don't want to call them feminine colors, you know, because anybody can like pinks and purples and things like that. But those colors will stand out sometimes too. But yeah, I really like that. I think that's really cool. Like that we're in the same world as Interview with the Vampire, but these things look similar, but they don't. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm never making sense. I just stood up straight to go and get a shirt to put on and sit down and finish this. When I looked up and said, why is this stained? And then I was like, oh, is that a cat? And then I realized, no, it's Batman's eyes. I've had this tank top for like 4 years. I never once noticed that, ever. I thought I was sweating, and then I was like, that's embarrassing. Mom's really digging this. I'm really digging this. I like it a lot. There's a couple things I wish they would. Okay, my one issue is I don't like it when we jump around in time, and you don't really establish it. I said this with House of the Dragon. I was like, this time jump is going to screw people up. And like I said, my mom is loving it, but she was definitely struggling with the backs and forths. So I just wish there would have been I know the coloring was different and things like that. And like I said, she kept up, and people keep up. They're not idiots. But I wish it was just a little more distinct, or they did something a little bit different when in the beginning, when they were jumping back and forth in time. Man, somebody's got to be related to Louis. That's all I'm saying. Somebody, love that, Cyprian. Is that his name, right? I love him. And I love the sister checking her and was like, yeah, and who the hell are you? And I thought it was really sad when Rowan was like, Because you know she's not trying to be mean. You know, she's not saying what she's saying to his sister with malicious intent. It's because she went through that. And so this sister's like, but I would do the same shit the sister did. I'd be like, why are you talking to me like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're kind of making me feel like shit. Or trying, or I'm perceiving it as you are trying to. I would think that. Wouldn't you think that? Like, if you were a surrogate and somebody was like, but aren't they like, if they were saying that stuff to you. But I was like, man, and is it Alexandra? Yeah, she's the actress who's playing Rowan. I think she's great. I think everybody in the acting in this, once again, just like Interview with the Vampire, is great. Do you want to know how dumb I am? I just realized the last time watching this, that's why it's the gate with the infinity symbol in it. It's because it's the Immortal Universe, Infinity's logo, sign, whatever, symbol. I'm a moron, because I was like, why are they doing it like this? And I was like, oh, the Immortal Universe, I get it. But we get a little more into, well, I thought Lasher or the uncle killed Deirdre. But now they're like, who did this type deal? And this one really, I feel like this episode really sucked you in. The first two, it was like, okay. And now it's like, whoa. We find out from Cyprian that he's never seen a power like Rowan's before. We know that she's some type of chosen one. I mean, there was some Rosemary's Baby conception going on there, which is scary and creepy, so I don't know what's going on with you. Oh, somebody left a comment, and they were like, the Talamasca messes with the stat. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm remembering things, kind of. But I do like the way they're introducing it here, and I like the way they're using it, and I don't mind them combining characters. I really don't. And I really love this Cyprian. Do you want to know what he reminds me of? He has very kind eyes. He looks like I'm just saying, like, ladies, we kind of have to be afraid everywhere we are. Doesn't he look like if you pulled up at the gas station, he's the one you'd ask for directions from, right? Let's say it's the middle of the night, you don't know where you're at, you're kind of nervous, your phone's dead, and you need to know which street is where. I'd ask him. He's got very kind eyes, and I'm not going to butcher that actor's name because I will butcher it. But he has extremely kind eyes. I like him. And I think he's really good for this role, and that's why I'm like, oh no, I don't mind this mixing of characters, and Game of Thrones does that really well, and I have a whole video about it. It's called 5 Characters Not in the Books, and technically some of them are, but they're more of an amalgam of like 5 or 6 characters put into one, like Roz the prostitute and and Robb Stark's girlfriend or wife. She don't exist. She's a woman from the West, and she's from Westeros in the books. But either way, that's a whole thing. You can go watch my video. But I don't mind this combining characters, changing them up a bit, making him work over here at the Talamasca, which that must be an interesting job. It gets crazy. I really like it. I like the way they're weaving in other stories without you even really knowing yet, unless you're paying attention or you've read it. And I'm sorry that I haven't been able to read it. Like I said, I've just been in crisis mode. Like I don't know what I'm going to do. Guys, I don't know how long this will be able to keep going if I don't figure something out soon. We're going to pretend that's not happening right now because we're enjoying Mayfair Witches. I like Cyprian's sister checking Rowan. I liked that. That was funny because that was a total sister move. But I also got where they were both coming from. I like how Rowan went through this. So she's just like, and she just lost both of her moms. Also, we get to see how much power this Mayfair family has, not just from the coroner or the autopsy guy. That's the coroner, right? Not just from him saying it, but nobody stops the aunt from hopping up in the elevator next to a bloody body with the daughter who gets to just walk out. But I like that like I said before, where is it fate? Is it intuition? Is it magic? What is it that we all ran into each other at this hotel? Or I'm just so good at surgery and things like that. And go check out raves and reviews of A Mad Fool. He's great, and he left some great comments on my stuff, and I'm really appreciative. And he's reviewing Mayfair Witches also, and he said something. I was watching his first one when he was talking about her getting called arrogant, and he was calling the other doctor a prick, and it's like, no, that's true. But yeah, no, that's how it does come off when you're a lady. Like, they think you're being a jerk, or they think you're, or whatever. But it's like, that's why she's so good at surgery. Not only did she practice at it and work her ass off, but she has this instinct, or is it more than that? Do you get what I'm saying? But with the body in the elevator, and the aunt just waltzing in, that doesn't happen places. That don't happen places, you know what I mean? Like, no, that doesn't happen. And then Rowan walking right up, instead of going with the aunt, I'm assuming she had a feeling to go with Cyprian instead. And I like that he's like, I can control this now. We learn about the gloves through him, the Talamasca, all this stuff. And he says, you can't leave the apartment. And we start seeing these weirdos outside. And I like how they're almost just making it look like they're crazy or out there. But it's like, no, we know something's up with them, you know? Or they're working with this group. But when the Talamasca people showed up, I was like, damn, man, you guys rolled deep. Rowan leaves, which she shouldn't. and she goes to and she's just walking around New Orleans, and she sees someone yelled at me the other day. They were like, "You need to say it New Orleans," and I'm like, "Okay, fine," but I'm like, "No, I'm from the north. I'm sorry. We pronounce our vowels really hard." But New Orleans, and that's how I want my funeral to be. They do it right. My mom always said she wanted to be in a carriage like that, but I'm like, no. And I really love the depiction of, like, I loved when they were like, the dead are always with us, and then that shot of, like, where it's like trippy, like almost like, and you can't tell who's dead and who's alive, but then you see the guy whose funeral it is sitting on top of the carriage. That was so cool. And I'm just like, no, I don't know if anybody, I didn't know that people didn't know what an Irish wake was, because that's very similar to an Irish wake, except we just get hammered drunk and you're supposed to have a party. It's a party for your life, but I'm like, they are doing it like 10 times better than Irish wakes. That's what I want. I want everybody to have fun and remember me and take the day off work. That's all I want. Just so you guys know, when I pass away, I want there to be notes for everybody for excuses to take the day off. School, work, whatever it is, take the day off when I pass away. That's all I ask for. I don't care. Put me in a sheet, throw me in the dirt, who cares? Everybody get a note. I want just notes of lies for everybody to take a day off work. That's all I want. And everybody can wear sweatpants. Nobody needs to get dressed up. That's some bullshit. But I'm not there. Wear sweatpants. I want you to wear sweatpants. But I loved seeing that. So she's not chilling. She left. She shouldn't have done that. Lasher's out to get her. He's shapeshift. We find out he can shapeshift, which is crazy. But he starts shapeshifting into other people. She takes this shot and kind of starts tripping and is walking with this group. And that's why I'm like, no, this is totally like Bonnaroo, but cooler, because it's in New Orleans and it's like special and actually means something. But so she's going with this group to this funeral, and she's with Lasher, and they're getting all types of close. And at one point, she walks up to, I didn't know, it had to be the Mayfair house, right? I didn't know if it was the Mayfair house or Uncle Cortland's house. And that's when and that's what I was saying I said that to my mom. She's like, "You want to know what? You're right." And I was like, "You always know your mom." And so I liked when Rowan called it out and was like, "You ain't my mom. You're not her." But we have her and Lasher getting all types of close. They're dancing, they're canoodling, and then he leads her to that house, and they're trying to seduce her in. But what I thought was interesting, and I'm sorry that, like I said, I'm in crisis mode right now, so I haven't been able to watch stuff. This is the only thing I've been able to, like, sit down and actually watch. And Last of Us, we're going to talk about that. I love it. Yeah, we're not going to dwell on that. We're just going to talk about this right now because we're enjoying that. One thing that threw me off was Cortland, the uncle, and Lasher going back and forth about who did this to her, who did this to Deirdre. So who did it to Deirdre? Because I was like, no, Rowan's been blowing people's brains out like an aneurysm, not mob hit Invisible Man like that. Unless it was Rowan, I don't know. I'm just like, that was wild. So I haven't gotten a chance to sit down and keep reading the book, but I'm like, I really want to. But then I'm like, maybe I want to watch the show and finish that out first. Either way, that was gruesome, wasn't it? We had the funeral scene, we had her getting led up to the house, and then we finally get her going back to Cyprian's, and he explains his gloves and talks to her about everything about what he does, and he's like, "You shouldn't have been out," and yada, 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 and there was the fire department, and Lasher was there, and all this type. So Lasher's doing all types of stuff. I want to know, like, who did that to the mom? God, leave me alone, freaks. I don't know who did that to the mom. I'm curious when we find out who that's going to be, unless I continue to read the book and I find out. There's a lot of key symbolism going on, whether or not it's the one they wear or not. But, man, they did that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't think the aunt was a good guy. I know she wasn't a good guy. I was just saying, like, I think she's a bit of a red herring. But now after seeing, like, her bedroom and stuff like that, I'm like, are you going to be on the side of the witch hunters? Because that's getting brought up. That's getting brought up and that's what I mean about they're weaving a story behind this other story. And I can dig that. But maybe this is a symbiotic relationship between Lasher and this witch coven. I don't know. But I was thinking maybe they can just hold him back a little bit. But now I thought this aunt was trying to help that. But now I'm like, no, this aunt is the worst of the worst. And I knew she was already doing bad stuff, but I thought she was doing it for the greater good. But now I'm like, no, I think you are going to be a part of this witch hunting, burn them at the stake group that's running around, possibly. Either way, you're bad. When they did that to that nurse, that was so sad. And when she was just smashing her head, that was so sad. Now, she's passed, right? Obviously, like half her head is gone. But that's to make them believe she's still awake down there, right? That's Lasher making them believe, like, yeah, she's still up down there, or what? I don't, or is she just going crazy? Either way, that was gruesome and rough. But I was like, man, this aunt is just the worst. And honestly, does anybody get vibes that I don't know who that other woman is with her, but is that like her partner or is that another family member? Because I'm like, Is this going to be about, like, you held in your sexuality and that's why you're such a scumbag? I don't, like, you know what I mean? And I will scream this until the cows come home, especially when it comes to teen dramas. Stop, because this isn't doing that, because this is great. But, like, Euphoria does it, a few other things do it, where they're like, wah, feel bad, they had to suppress their sexuality, and it's like, yes, I have sympathy for that. That shouldn't happen. But it also doesn't give them a right to, like, you know, kill or nab babies or I don't know what else are they, crazy stuff they do in Euphoria. It's like, that doesn't, I'm sorry, but when you do things like that, I don't feel bad for you. And especially in teen dramas, stop making them redeemable. Stop telling young people, hey, sorry, feel bad for them, it's okay. No, it's not okay. They grew up and they became a scumbag adult. Same thing with this aunt. I'm kind of getting a vibe that, like, you wanted that to be your partner, but that couldn't happen, and that's maybe where part of this animosity comes in. But either way, that's neither here nor there. I just kind of thought that for a second. The aunt's a scumbag. Total scumbag. And now I'm starting to think, you aren't a witch. Because that's what Cyprian said, right? He was like, some get powers, some don't. Yours is the strongest I ever had. Maybe she didn't get powers like Petunia in Harry Potter, and she's resentful of that shit. That's kind of what I'm thinking now. And yeah, I don't know. And then I'm like, I don't know who this lady is with her. But, oh, hi, Snarf. My cat's here, too. Everybody misses Mom. I'm sorry. Can we get to the heartbreaking scene? Like, that's what I mean. When Cyprian starts, like, to cry and tear up when he sees Deirdre's memory of having Rowan and being able to tell Rowan, that was so sweet. I loved that. The wiping of the elevator. Who can do that? That seems like a really... I started... Honestly, before we saw the mom, Deirdre, talking to Rowan, I was like, is that a doppelganger? Did we see a doppelganger get slit throat in the elevator, and that's why there's no memories? Because it wasn't her. It wasn't a person. It was a... whatever. You know what I'm saying? But either way, he goes to the morgue, and this is where we start getting lots of stuff. And this autopsy guy's being weird, and he's like, yeah, well, you know, the Mayfair's got a lot of money, and they can do what they want, and they got a lot of influence, and this, that, and the other. And then Cyprian lies, and he's like, yeah, I'm a student of the, maybe a med, whatever. He lies, and he gets to stay in the room with him. And then that guy notices, like, oh, you're doing something weird, and that's when he's touching Deirdre's head and sees the memory. But then he stops him when he tries to leave, and he's like, hey, yeah, you know what she is? She's a witch. I know you're not one of us. I know you're just here for whatever, blah. And then he gives him a pamphlet. And if you look at that pamphlet, it's got the burning little torch on it. And I was like, no, you guys are burning women at the stake. Probably because you're like, oh, they live alone and they can read. No, I'm just kidding for now times. But back in the day, that was not a joke. That was not a joke. That was like, oh, no, spinster witches, burn them at the... Oh, you can read and speak well, you witch. Like, geez, man, give us a break. Come here. Come on. Witches and snarfs and cats. Oh my. But, does anybody else continually think, I seriously doubt your commitment to sparkle motion. Like, I love it. Hi, Snarf. Tell them you killed a rat the other day. It was very good. To sparkle motion. He told me to forcibly insert the book into my anus. I can't remember the title. Oh my God, what a jam, Donnie Darko. But either way, Ant, scumbag. So Autopsy Man, he's definitely a part of this, like, burning ladies at the stake thing. And he's like, that's a witch. And you can tell he's very angry. He's very, very angry. And I want to know, do you guys think that Cyprian is playing it off like, haha, you're crazy, haha, like, you're just, like, I know that's real, but I'm going to play it off to you? Or does he know, like, you're more of a threat than I thought, like this, and that's why he pockets the pamphlet, or just didn't want to be rude and throw it on the ground like I used to do, wasted outside of clubs. I don't know, but I did notice that, and I'm like, oh, it's already here, and I want to know where that's going to go, and that's the part of me that's like, should I keep reading or should I wait? Oh, that's why they had to leave the building, though. It was because of the fire. There was a fire in the building after, so we have Cyprian calling all his buds at work to come and help out. But then we have weird stuff going on outside, but I don't know if those are all Talamasca people or not. And then we have the fire, and she dips out. That's how she ends up in the funeral procession. But after he touches the body and sees the vision, you can tell this really, really bothers or emotionally hits Cyprian really hard. And when him and Rowan run into each other again, which I don't know if she was wearing pajamas or an outfit, but either way, I kind of want it. It's pretty awesome looking. I like that adorable outfit, and it just looks comfy and nice. But then I was like, is that for sleeping? I can't tell, but who cares? It looks cool. But they run into each other outside. They chit chat, and then he starts to tell her about touching stuff and how it can help see things, and she's kind of learning how to do that, but you can tell that Rowan is finally grateful to meet somebody who has some strange ability also. Two big things that I want to know about from this episode are who killed the mom. Well, three. Who killed the mom? Was it Lasher? I think it was the uncle. I think the uncle killed her and wants Lasher to not know that he did. But obviously the number 13 and the 13th witch is a big deal, so we'll find out about that. But the bigger things I want to know about besides that are the key. How does the key work? Because you need to it binds him to you, but you have to accept it, right? And then the other big one I want to know is about these witch hunters and how bad are they and how creepy are they. And yeah, Uncle Cortland, you're just a slime bag that needs to stop. But things I really, really loved. I really loved her talking to her mom and her being like, you ain't my mom, because anybody would know if it was actually their mom. Let's be real. You would know if it was your mom. You would know. I really love the funeral procession. Oh my God, what about that guy asking if she was okay? I was like, dear God, wouldn't you take your mask off first? I have a huge mask. Let me show you. Let me just say, like, it doesn't look like that, but we had an incident where somebody, and I never, ever give your friend substances and not tell them what it is, and never buy off strangers, ever. Ever. You never buy off a random stranger in a crowd at a festival, you idiots. But I didn't, he lied to his friend. My friend brought his friend I didn't know to Bonnaroo and gave him LSD, and he had never done anything ever in his life. This man was not having a good time. I was getting ready to go see Purity Ring. Thankfully, I had been around the block a few times, and I'm old and boring, and at the time I was old and boring, and I was just like, I was getting ready to go see Purity Ring, and I was getting all done up in my stuff that I wear, and this was what I had on, and this man had a full-on freak out and was like, I need you to take that off, and I didn't even realize I had it on because I had it on like the top of my head. But yeah, that's why I was like, oh my God, sir, please take that mask off before you ask women if they're okay when they're passed out on the side of a bar. That's my Anubis mask. It's like a hand. I wish I knew the woman's name who made it. They're like handmade. She had this embossed at, but I was like, no, Anubis is my fave. I gotta have Anubis. I didn't have it on like this. I had it on like this and tied back, and I forgot. And he was freaking out, and I was like, what's going on? And then I got to the bottom of it, and he was just like, no, you look like the devil. And I was like, oh my God, sir, get out of her face. But I was cracking up at that, but I loved everything about that, about death, about life, about how close we are, and it's like a thin place where their house is at. I really like that. But yeah, I'm Abby with Motor City Nerds. Welcome to new subscribers. My life is falling apart. Thank you guys so much. I got a ton of kind comments. They're like, I'm so sorry about your job. And it's like, yeah, I am too. And it's like, I still don't know what's happening. Like, they don't tell you nothing. I'm like, you told me. I had 15 people from the union call and tell me I was fired. I got to the floor at 6:02. My shift starts at 6. Who gets fired over that? It's crazy. After 10 years. That's insane. But yeah, subscribe, comment, share. It really helps me out a lot. I'm trying not to think about it when I'm doing these because I don't want to fake it to you guys. You know what I mean? I don't want to. That's why it's been taking me longer to get these out, because I'll be real with you guys. I've been laying in my bed on the floor like a slug, not moving, not showering, not doing nothing because I'm depressed. And then I'm like, I do love this show though, and so I really had to geek myself up to even do this. I'm not going to lie. But I had fun, and like I said, I don't want to dwell on that while I'm doing this. So yeah, Mayfair Witches. And honestly, I think this is not getting the what is in my pockets? The acknowledgement it deserves. But I think part of that is because, like, it's about ladies having power. I don't know. Just saying. But yeah, subscribe, comment. I think I'm going to do a fun makeup video next.